Welcome to the Bark Night Podcast, where we shine a spotlight on the world of film and TV through news, reviews, and in-depth discussions. Today's 61st episode will be another Blind Spots feature, where we watch and discuss movies that have been out for a while that we have no excuse for not seeing yet. This one features Dan's blind spot of Insidious from James Wan, an especially egregious case in my opinion, and my blind spot of Jennifer's Body, followed by the latest movie and physical media news. Be sure to follow, like, or leave a rating wherever you're watching or listening. It helps keep the reels turning.
Nice. Yeah, don't really have an excuse for not watching Insidious, why it took me so long. I think part of it came out around the same time as The Conjuring, right?
A year or two later.
Yeah, and my brain's like, man, my horror movie with Patrick Wilson is The Conjuring.
Yes, you want to take it away?
Right. Yeah, so Insidious is a 2010 movie directed by James Wan, starring Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, the great Lynn Shaye, and Barbara Hershey is an actress who you might know from the 80s that pops up as Patrick Wilson's mom. And it's a story of a family moves into a new home, the classic setup, and their youngest son gets knocked into a coma, and they have to try to figure out what's going on, and he just gets worse, and creepy things keep happening around the house. You know, classic setup for a movie like this, and it hits all those story beats you kind of expect with the emphasis on not over reliance on jump scare, but very well executed jump scares, I'd say. And yeah, it was a movie that, like I said, came out. I have no excuse for missing it. I just did for a while. Finally got a chance to watch it because of this, and I really did have a good time with it. They said the cast is great. The monster is really cool. The design on the main demon. I think blanking on it, but
Lipstick face demon.
That's it. How could I not remember that? It comes right off the tongue.
But most people just call him the red face demon.
Red face demon sounds a bit better. It's not just him. Like, there's also like other little creepy ghosts. There's a ghost child running around, like playing hide and go seek with the mom, and a couple other, like, a family of other ghosts, and they're just trying to get the kid healthy because the demon wants the kid. He says that at one point when the grandmother comes over, and she says she has a dream, and the lipstick red face whatever demon is very much like there, like right behind Patrick Wilson. It's one of the most famous jump scares, I'd say, in the last like 25 years in horror. Like, people know that scene. Like, I knew that scene before seeing this movie, so it definitely deflated the impact. I'm just like, here it comes. You know?
Did it get you a little bit?
No, but other scenes did. Other scenes got me pretty good. The little boy, when he was playing hide and go seek, he popped out of that curio. I'm like, holy crap! I thought he was gonna be like behind her or something, not just like straight out in front of her.
Yeah, the jump scares specifically are, to contextualize this came out in 2010. The Conjuring came out in 2013.
Oh, did it? Okay.
And this had a budget of $1.5 million. The Conjuring had $20 million. So he's working with Blumhouse on both of these. And when this one was really successful, they gave him a bunch of money to do The Conjuring. And actually, he released The Conjuring and Insidious 2 the same year.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he directed both.
It was my excuse then. There was no reason for me not to watch this.
I mean, 2010, it was, I
thought it was backwards.
What you had going on that year.
No, geez, who knows? But yeah, dude, it was, I don't want to say it's formulaic or familiar, but it definitely hits a bunch of the modern tropes for horror movies. And yeah, I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it. I know there's a buttload of sequels to dive into if I want to. And the way it ended kind of made me want to peel off the Band-Aid and just go for the next one. But I didn't quite do it yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I also should say that Patrick Wilson's character in the movie, it opens up and he's like weird about photos and such, and you almost like know, like, immediately, like, okay, there's something there. And then like his mom pops around and finds out that when he was a kid, something very similar happened to him, where she would take photos and this figure in the back of the photos would just slowly getting closer and closer to him. So she hires this Lynn Shaye character to come in to try to do for his son what she did for him. And yeah, it's got a bit of poltergeist to that, like, you know, kind of like similar vibe to that. She brings in these two yahoos that are, you know, barely characters, but they're there to spout little one-liners and be like, oh, that happened. But yeah, they're fun. Yeah, overall, it's a lot of fun and some really good jump scares. I had them backwards in my brain. I thought The Conjuring came out before this, and this was just kind of like another one. But I guess probably because Insidious 2 came out that same year, and it just, my brain's, you know, a brain. But Yeah, I like the actors. I like the premise. I like the fact that when they move the house, like there's a scene where the wife, played by Rose Byrne, says, "I can't be here anymore. I can't do this anymore," and the husband goes, "Okay, we're out," and they actually move, which is happening more and more in movies. I think they do the same thing in Sinister, but like that was unheard of. Like growing up, like these movies, if something like this happens, it was like, well, we're riding it out until the end. But yeah, they do switch homes, but it doesn't help because the demon's attached to the kid and not the house.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that it does really well is it inverts a lot of these expectations. And like you said, those jump scares are expertly crafted. Every one of them. So like looking at the big one you mentioned, that like where he like appears behind him, they lead you to that perfectly. It is telling you from the moment that scene starts, from the framing of each of those people, that it's framing it so that the viewer most will know that they will look at that and say they are framing this so that perfectly somebody can be right next to him. So they're kind of leading you there. But they, at the same time, James Wan crafts the scene so that so much happens and there's so many camera changes from Patrick Wilson to his wife to his mom, shifting between those three, and then introducing the dream sequence into it, that between all those things, somewhere along the way, you start to forget that it's framed like that. And you start to think, oh, maybe that's just an artistic choice. But then it happens, and you're like, okay, there it is. And just the one you mentioned, same thing, where you're expecting it's going to be down here, and then it's up here.
Up there. Yeah.
So it's
that was good.
Playing with all of those, and you can see from this one how he gets to the Conjuring, like with that the basement scene and so many things there, and it really is. It's cool to see his progression in those things, but it's really good at inverting those expectations.
You bring up a good point. In the Conjuring, there's a really creepy scene where the girls are looking for the witch in their room, and they open up the same kind of video, a big cabinet. And you expect the witch to be in the cabinet, but she's not. She's on top of it. And that's a big jump scare in that movie. But it's the same concept. The camera's filmed, or he films in a way, I should say, that you expect it one place, and then it's another. So, yeah, you're right. You can definitely see the same kind of DNA in this movie that comes through The Conjuring. He didn't have much of it in Final Destination 3, but, no one's perfect.
I don't think James Wan directed.
No, he wrote that. He wrote that. That's right. I'm sorry. He didn't write it in there then. How about that?
Yeah, it was one thing that was interesting as I was going through these was seeing his relationship with Leigh Whannell and how that sort of played out. Because this is written by Leigh Whannell.
Right.
And I think The Conjuring is written by both of them, I want to say. Let me see. So. I've got it here. Actually, it's written by neither of them. It's written by just two guys that I've never heard of. But they also both worked on Saw together. They both worked on Dead Silence together. And so to sort of see like the way they progressed through all of that, and now Leigh Whannell's directing his own movies. I don't really think he's made a movie quite as good as these yet. But I think he directs Insidious 3, and Insidious 3 is actually really good. It's not like an all-time classic like The Conjuring or the first Insidious here, but it is very good. It's probably my favorite of the sequels. I think I even like it more than Insidious 2.
I would say for Leigh Whannell, I had to double check and make sure after I blew that whole Final Destination 3 thing. He directed the Invisible Man new one, and I love that movie. I think that movie is really good. So that's way up there on the list for me for him. But yeah, it was a good time. I enjoyed watching it. It's always great to see Lynn Shaye. I looked at her filmography this morning just to give myself like a refresher. That woman is prolific. Holy cow! Like that is a long list of things she's been in. The most recent thing I saw her is I played a couple of chapters of a game called The Quarry. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's like a choose your own adventure kind of like one of those modern horror games, and she's in it as like a matriarch, I should say, of a family that's in the area. So she's in there. Lance Hendrickson's her husband. It's fun. Like you don't really do much, but it is there so that people like me be like, oh, that guy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, great cast. Like I said, Rose Byrne. I love her. She's always good in anything she does.
Yeah,
feels like she doesn't
really
get any
good in this.
she gets no love. Like, you don't ever hear people talk about her. But Bridesmaids, this 28 weeks later. Like, I know that's weird to be the third thing. That's the third thing that popped in my head, but you don't really hear people talk about her at all. But yeah, she's always good in what she does. What's that one movie with Seth Rogen where they're like move next to a
Neighbors.
Neighbors. That was fun.
I actually haven't seen that, but I did see with her and Seth Rogen, they have a show together called Platonic, about platonic best friends who are like aging adults. So like she's like a mom, and they used to be like best friends, and then he pops back into her life, and he's just sort of a complete mess while she's sort of like professionally and family-wise very successful, but having a lot of sort of like emotional issues, and they sort of try and figure these things out. It's really good. It's very funny. There's 2 seasons of it. I didn't like the second season as much as I liked the first one. Sarah really likes the show too, and she agreed. There was like a certain point in the season where I was like, I don't know if like I really like dig where they're taking this whole show, but
Right.
the first season's very good.
I was watching a show recently, and at a certain point, I was just like, do I even like these characters? Or am I just watching the show just to say I watched the show, you know?
Right.
So is it one of those kind of things, or is it not that bad? It just kind of...
No, I mean,
loses
it's not
steam.
that bad. It's just like some of the decisions on where they take some of the characters, like Rose Byrne's husband in it in the second season seems to have like a midlife crisis, and they drag it out through the entire season.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those things where like you're thinking the whole time, like they've built this relationship up. They're not going to... There wasn't a single moment where I was convinced they were ever going to get divorced over it. So I kind of was just like, why are you dragging this out for the whole season
Right.
if we
know
all
this is
know
going.
you're not going to go there?
Right.
Like, because that's just the sort of relationship they have. I don't know. You can see where it's all going. So it's like, why are you dragging this out? But she's fantastic in this. Patrick Wilson is very good in this too.
He is. He's another...
What I
like,
really
another...
liked is how different his character is from The Conjuring.
It is.
You
He's
know?
more of a... The Conjuring, he's more of like a steadfast, kind of reliable, strong man, like that. And
A
that's when he's
strong
kind of, like,
leader and,
strong
and
leader, yeah.
guide for the whole for the other family and everything. And
Mhm. And this one, he's just kind of not really like, what's the word? Not passive, but like not super involved. Like the scares are happening, and then like everyone else is reacting. He's just like, all right, let's go look at it.
he's one thing I noticed is how when he seems to very much want to like sort of ignore the situation,
Yes, that's what I'm trying.
avoid
to
it.
do.
He's very much practicing like avoidance about the whole thing, and I think a lot of that has to do with what happened during his childhood,
Right.
and probably whether they did a hypnotism on him or whatever it was. But I've always loved how they depict his character in this because of that, because he's very different from his Conjuring character, which I think is important that you do
I
in
think
this
so, too.
situation, but also like his belief, and in this one, he's the character that doesn't believe everything's going on. He's struggling to come to terms with the entire situation. He's like when he decides to stay late at school all of those days.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, like the whole situation with Lin Shaye's character when she comes over and they're getting like the whole sales pitch thing, and
He's
I
like, "Yeah,
love the
thank
way
you
they
very much."
depict that scene, because it is perfectly encapsulate how 9 out of 10 people will react to that, right? They'll think they're getting a sales pitch.
Scam.
Yeah, they'll think they're getting scammed, and 9 out of 10 people will push them out the door just like he did. And then that night, the way they depict the whole scene where he sort of comes to terms with the whole thing, and he realizes that he'll really do anything to have his son back. And then he starts connecting the dots of everything his son was saying and the drawings and all of that, and the way he breaks down. I think all of that is like really expertly crafted. And once they make that decision, sort of the whole movie's kind of cooking with gasoline from that point. It really shifts gears. And I do love the first half, but I do appreciate when a movie changes gears like that, and it's for the better.
Yeah, you're right. The it's world building. He does a really good job with it. And I don't know if they ever mentioned hypnotism directly. They might, but they do say we suppressed what happened to you so that you wouldn't remember. So that's why, like, that part of that must be why he's just so like aloof about the whole thing to a degree. And like you said, there's a scene where like he's at school and like he's done grading tests, and he just like falls asleep at the desk and doesn't come home until like 10 o'clock at night. And Rose Byrne's like, it's 10 o'clock at night. He's like, I was grading tests. Like,
yeah, and she's like, you've never done this before.
Yeah, that's never happened before. That's very weird behavior. But yeah, so that's another plot point. Like as I said, the photos from when he was a kid, they finally show it to him, and he really kind of starts making the whole connection. And then because he has the connection to the world, kind of not quite like The Shining, but a little bit, where he's got a connection to it, so he can go into it and try to find his son. That's the final act, obviously, when it comes about. Yeah, it was really cool. I had a good time with it. I see why people love it. I think I was spoiled with seeing later works that it doesn't quite. It wasn't like my favorite thing ever. Like I'm not like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever. But I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it.
Well, if you think of it from the perspective of this movie was sort of like the beginning of this era of horror. No, like this paved the way for all of these types of movies that came out for the last 15 years. But it was also shot in 3 weeks for $1.5 million. And I am shocked by that every time I watch this movie, that it was shot in 3 weeks for $1.5 million. Like, that is nothing by today's standards, you know?
Nothing at all. No, dead Flanders pop in my head.
But you think that, like, you see what I mean, though, when I said that, like, I was like, I like The Conjuring more than this, but I do think this movie, like, in the world that they build is much more original. You know what I mean?
Sure, because you see, as we talked about, you see the threads that went from this to The Conjuring. Threads from this that Sinister took over, because Sinister was like 2012-ish or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, like, you see the threads, as you said, that popped up in other movies. So completely respect that way of thinking, and it's on me for missing it and getting to it way late. 15 years late is stupid, but being an adult's weird, man. You're just like, I'll get to it, and then 15 years later.
Yeah, that's a long time. And that is sort of like the peril of that, right? Where something's become so iconic, and then you finally watch it and you're like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen, because
big jump scares, I said, has been ruined for me multiple times. It's like, it's just kind of everywhere. Like, people mention it, like, you'll just be like going through and they'll be like, there's a trailer for a movie coming up, and like it'll just that scene will be like what they show, like, here, this is coming on like HBO Max or whatever.
Yeah,
the little teaser things that pop up when you're just sitting on the home screen not really paying attention. But yeah, it's, as you said, expertly crafted. Respect it. Had a good time with it. I would say, as you said, it's a good way to put it, like, foundational movie for what horror has been for the last 15 years would be this. And yeah, I'm sad I missed it when I did. I'd probably have a much more higher esteem for it if I would have seen it when it first came out, and that's on me. I gotta punish myself with the sequels now. I guess they get down. You said that the second one's good, and then they kind of go down after that, right? No, you said the second and third are good, and then...
Yeah, so I don't really remember much about the fourth one, to be honest with you.
Are there 5?
There's 5. The 5th one is directed by Patrick Wilson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it is good, but it is not very scary. And so it like almost like barely feels like a horror movie, you know, from that standpoint. But it is, but like, I don't know. I feel like it's only a couple years old. I feel like I kind of need to rewatch that one. But I really like the 3rd one.
Okay.
And I don't remember the 4th one. The 5th one is okay. There's no bad ones. Although the 4th one, I don't remember. So it's...
It could be.
Yeah. But it's... They're good. I guess comparing it to the Conjuring franchise, I don't think the Insidious franchise ever hits the heights that the Conjuring does, but it absolutely never hits the lows either.
Okay.
They're all decent. You know what I mean?
So there's no Lala running around.
No, there's no La Llorona around. There's no, like, they're all better than the Nun, right? So it's I would recommend you give them a watch.
That's a good. The Nun is like the most basic of all these movies, like boiled down to a formula and put out there, isn't it?
Yeah, the Nun gets by on atmosphere alone. Yeah. That's
a good creature design.
And a good creature design. But that's already established in the other movies, right? They didn't even establish that. They're just copying it. It might as well be a universal ride, you know?
Ooh. Hot take. Take that, the Nun franchise that everyone loves.
You know, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that many people love the Nun movies, you know? I really think it's getting by on the
universe.
Like you say, the creature design. Big part of it.
And the Conjuring universe that's out there. Like, people want to be completionists and see all of it. So
right. There's actually, speaking of Universal Studios, there is an Insidious themed ride on there as part of like their Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, I was gonna guess Halloween Horror Fest. That's cool. They had a Jaws one a couple years back, and I'm bummed I didn't just go down there and see that.
Yeah, I went there maybe like a year and a half ago, and I didn't see anything cool like that.
Blue orange.
It's too bad.
They're like, here's Tangled or something. I don't know.
They had a whole lot of Harry Potter.
Oh, that's a big moneymaker, man.
Yeah. So let's talk about the ending quick before we wrap this part up. So anybody, if you haven't seen this, but I'd imagine everybody's seen this,
including me
at this point.
I saw it.
If you're listening, you can skip ahead to Jennifer's body if you don't want the ending spoiled for you. But Dan, what'd you think of the ending?
I liked it, but I clocked it coming. There's a scene where he's the demon or whatever that was haunting him as a kid shows back up towards the end as he's trying to run back to his body with his son to bring them back into our world, I guess the way to put it, like this plane of existence. And he sees the creature from his childhood, and he stops and like confronts it and like says like, I'm not afraid of you, blah 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 blah, what do you want from me, blah blah blah, all those things. And like he's just staring in the mirror the whole time. You're like, probably should move.
Yeah, right.
He does not move, but his body comes to, and you think, oh, okay, he got away. He said, I'm not afraid of you, and that was the end of it. That was what they want you to think. But deep down, you're like, don't think I like how that we didn't see him like actually himself get back in his body. So then movie ends. His son wakes up. Everyone's like, oh, hey, yay, happy ending. And then Lin Shaye's character hands him something, like a photo or a note or something, and she notices that
he hands the photos back to her. He's like, oh, I guess I won't be needing these anymore.
That's what
it was. All the old photos of him.
Yeah. So he hands them back, and as he hands them back, she notices that his hand is not quite right.
A dead hand.
A dead hand, yes. A really bad poker hand. But she notices that, and she decides, and I think it's kind of a little foolish, because at that point you'd be like, I'm going to go in the other room and get everyone else and bring them in for this. But she doesn't. She takes the camera and snaps the photo of him, and the photo reveals that it is the demon from his childhood taking over his body, and then he proceeds to unalive her in that movie. But she comes back in the sequels, I guess. So it must be prequels.
So that's one of the things I was going to say here is, as we've talked about, she is in every one of these movies. So they do that in variously creative ways, but the thing about it is that I do think that killing her in the first movie is the biggest mistake this franchise has made, because they have to come up with a way to bring her back in every single one. And so in a few of them, she is literally a ghost. And she's working with the investigators as a ghost, still doing investigations just as a ghost. But I think 2 of them, I want to say, are prequels. Maybe even 3. I think 3 of them are prequels.
Well, clearly then the filmmakers agree with you with that decision. They probably like immediately were upset that like when they figured out they were getting a sequel, then they thought maybe we could franchise this thing. They're like, oh crap, we killed the best character actor off.
Right, because you're not going to
replace Lin Shaye. You're not.
That's the group in this movie that can travel from movie to movie, right? You're not going to have Patrick Wilson is very obviously not going to go around trying to do more of these things. He wants to be done with this. But for her character, like, yeah, it's the perfect setup, and it's almost like the same mistake that Saw made, right? Another James Wan universe, but he didn't make that mistake. He was done with the franchise by that point. Yeah. But so they do it in various ways. I think she's a ghost in 2. 3 is a prequel, and I think 4 is a prequel, and 5 is a sequel. And I don't remember how she appears in that one, but it's either a flashback or a ghost.
Like 6, the last one, supposedly she's going to be like the main character, right?
I don't know. We don't know anything about that movie, except that she's in it, and it's going to be her last feature film role.
That's what it was. Okay, so she might not be the main character then. Scratch that from the record, but it's cool that they're bringing her back for the 6th one. And it's cool that she's going to be like, you know what? That's it for me. Like that, you got to respect someone who can just say, I'm good. But,
It is crazy. Like, you see, though, like, why they would want to bring her character specifically back, because the moment she gets on screen, you're like, all right, like, she rocks.
Yeah, she's great. And it did give me, like, you've seen Poltergeist, obviously, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of Poltergeist vibes.
Yeah.
The little, that's probably really bad, but the little lady who comes in is like, this house is clean. Like, similar kind of character archetype.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. I think it's used pretty differently, but it's definitely inspired by that,
Sure.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Different archetype. That's why I said.
Yeah. You see what I meant, though, the other day when you're like, oh, it sounds like it's similar to what they do in Poltergeist. And I was like, actually, I would more compare it to what they have in The Others, remember?
Yeah.
Because they do, that scene is pulled right from The Others.
It is.
Which, when did The Others come out?
01?
01? Oh, yeah. That came out well before this. But yeah.
01's a crazy year for movies, by the way.
Yeah.
If I was right about 01, was I right?
I stopped looking. You sounded very confident, so I didn't keep
looking. I was, but like this is me lately, like confidence, and then immediately down a roller coaster track. But yeah, man, I was really glad to watch it. I hadn't seen 01. I was right. I hadn't seen like a really good scary movie since like the end of spooky season, because I've been kind of just not diving back into them. But yeah, it was nice to watch it. I love horror movies, and it was a good time. Not my favorite of all time. I'm not gonna like go out and buy it on like 4K, but I can respect that. I can respect it and say I had a good time watching it.
You know, if they release like a box set of these on 4K, I'd buy it. Especially with, Netflix potentially buying Warner Brothers. We might not have a chance. But Warner Brothers didn't make these, I think. I think they distribute them. So they're like forever on HBO Max.
Which is good.
But they're Blumhouse movies, I believe, which would be... And I do think that, I think Insidious and The Conjuring sort of like paved the way for Atomic Monster for James Wan. Because he was having a ton of success in those years between this and The Conjuring and Saw, just franchise after franchise, and that really set him up. That's why I want him to get back into horror, because he was really just, hitting it out of the park for a little while there.
I don't dislike his Aquaman movies. Like, I know what they are. They're dumb popcorn movies, but sometimes that's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Aquaman 1 considerably more than Aquaman 2. And by all accounts, he had a terrible time on Aquaman 2, because it was going through that thing where the heads of DC, like, that was made under, like, 3 different executive teams at Warner Brothers over his time of making that. And they kept putting it back in for reshoots because everybody's like, oh, no, I know how to fix this movie. We'll do this. And by the end of it, you just got a little bit of a Frankenstein's monster of a movie, which... Right. I mean, it's still better than Suicide Squad, but
what is it?
It's nowhere near as good as the first one.
No,
I much rather would have had him make that movie about like the aliens and the monsters in the ocean.
The trench movie they're gonna do.
Yeah, I much rather would have had that than the movie that would have been good too.
Yeah, and I think you can see it too. Like not to spend too much time on Aquaman 2, but. Like, even, like, Black Manta being in that movie makes no sense. Like, they're like, we'll fix it by throwing Black Manta back in. Like, we don't need him. Like, that just distracts from, like, what you're trying to tell here about, like, his whole thing with, like, Ocean Master and the Pride and all. That, I don't know.
Didn't Willem Dafoe just, like, throw in the towel and not join that movie, like, at all?
He's, like, a cameo, I think, for, like, 1 second.
Is he?
Yeah, but still, like, you can find worse movies to watch.
Yeah. You can, like The Flash.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else for Insidious?
No, my friend.
Well, you finally watched it. You got
finally watched it.
Blind Spot officially
lit
viewed
up.
Or whatever.
Lit up? Blind Spot lit up. We'll go with that. It kind of works.
We'll figure something out for Volume 3.
Yes.
All right. Jennifer's Body.
Yes, sir.
So... Yeah, this was from 2009. This was my blind spot. It's directed by Karyn Kusama, who did The Invitation. Do you know The Invitation?
Is that the one where, like, oh my God, what's his name?
They get invited to dinner. Upgrade.
Yeah.
Goes to a dinner and just keeps getting vibes that something sinister is going on.
Right.
Have you seen it?
I watched it. I don't remember it very well at all.
I really liked that movie. I really, really, really liked it. I won't spoil it for anybody, but it's sort of like a slow burn horror. And it's pretty cool the way they play around with the audience in that one. I highly recommend that. She did a few other things, but this was the one that stood out to me. Cast, we got Megan Fox, Amanda Seyfried, and Adrian Brody. So basically...
Adam.
Oh, yeah. I have done that before. I did that when I was talking about Scream Predators, 4, right?
Oh, no, you're right. Scream 4.
Yeah, Adam Brody. Whoops. So this was basically a Megan Fox vehicle in 2009, and it's about her becoming basically possessed by a demon, and she has to eat boys to maintain her beauty and essence.
Mhm.
And
A succubus.
that's all you really need to know, and that's all you really do know, because they don't really explain any of it over the course of the movie. They're just like, that's what it is. You're here to just watch Megan Fox and watch her eat all these little boys. And so it was decent.
Yeah.
I had a good time with it. You know, it's not one that I'm like, oh, it was exactly what I expected it to be, I guess would be the thing. It's like sort of a bad movie, but it's like really enjoyable, like type thing. You know, you're like, okay, I need to not take anything that happens in this seriously, because it's like kind of a comedy, you
Dark
know,
comedy, yeah.
and yeah. And so it was decent enough. One of the things that really just kept happening over the course of the movie was they kept throwing different actors at me that I was like, wait a second, J.K. Simmons is in this? Like,
Right.
wait a second, Chris Pratt is in this? Like,
Right.
wait a second, Lance Henriksen? Like,
That's true. That movie does do that.
yeah. And so, like, that part of it was, like, really cool to see all of those, you know, sort of actors that were, I guess, Lance Henriksen past his prime, the other two not to their prime yet.
Take that, Lance Henriksen.
Well, you know, well
Thanks,
into
Rick.
his made-for-DVD,
Yeah,
straight to
hey.
VHS era.
Second time he got mentioned in this episode, so
That is the second time, yep.
man's working.
Yep.
Oh, she's a succubus, and continue.
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest. Being only 2 days out from this movie, I'm already seeing everything that happened in this movie just drift away from my memory. It is a very forgettable movie. Like, I had to sit here earlier today, and I was like, what the hell happened in the ending of that movie? Like, did she live? Like, and like, I had to sit here for a little while and be like, oh no, that's the whole pool scene thing. No, but wait, no, it's not the pool scene thing. She like breaks out of prison and goes and like to her house or whatever. And so like, I think that, you know, it's an interesting movie, but it's like pretty forgettable when all is said and done. I think that I knew it was going to do this, and like, this is sort of like a thing with like the early 2000s where a lot of these movies like this just seem really like, I don't know.
One trick pony, kind of.
No, like they're just trying to take advantage of everybody falling head over heels with Megan Fox at the time.
Right.
You know?
Exactly, and that's what I was gonna say. Is they marketed the movie on her sex appeal. Like
Right.
all the trailers were her giving like that weird little like side eye thing she does, where like she's like sultry eyes, we'll call it, and like her like walking like through the hall in like that tight outfit. Like
Yeah.
they sold this movie on her sex appeal, so you went in there thinking it's gonna be like some like teenage kind of rom-com.
The weird thing about that is that she's like a high school girl, you know? And so it's
Gross.
like,
Yeah, it's gross.
I looked into it to be like, how old was she's like 25 when she made this movie. And so it's like a lot of things about this are just like, okay, like, you know, that I guess that's just how things were back then, right?
Yeah.
And like the early 2000s are notorious for that, you know, that whole like high school girls thing, you know, the American Pie thing, like, so
Right,
it's very much of its era in that respect. And that's kind of something you just have to let go early on and be like, okay, it's just the setting. All of these people are not actually teenagers. They're all in their 20s by this point, you know, so.
Hello, fellow children.
Yeah. One thing that I didn't know was going to happen was how like emo the movie is.
Oh, sure.
Which I think is hilarious because it plays very realistically. Like whoever's making, like you're not sure whether they're making fun of it or whether, like, I think it's like a little bit of both, like a little bit of good-heartedness, a little bit of like make fun of it, you know, like the two kids at the funeral, everything with Kyle Gallner's character, which for him, this dude, he cannot survive a horror movie, can he?
He can't.
Well,
Well, he made it through the first Smile.
Yeah, but he didn't make it through the second one.
Not long into the second one, but it's not what we're here talking about.
Yeah. And so that part of it I thought was very funny because his character in this is the quintessential emo. I knew very, very many people that were exactly like his character. But I think what's funny about it is it came out in 2009, which is like towards the end of the whole emo thing. And so it's got possibly the most emo soundtrack, but like the scene where he goes to meet Megan Fox's character and there's like a pop punk emo cover playing on the radio, and I don't remember what song it was, but like he's just like really like jamming out to it, and it was probably like Simple Plan or something. Yeah. And I thought that was so funny because that 100% was a thing that happened in the 2000s where all of these pop punk or even like regular punk rock or emo bands would make, because for what it's worth, they did have a unique sound and they did a ton of covers in that sound. And so him pulling up and listening to like just like an emo cover, I thought that was like absolutely like it put a smile on my face because I was like, I remember this being a thing,
Yeah. I was with you. I didn't see this movie for the longest time. I think 3 years ago for my Halloween movie watch Rampage, it was free streaming somewhere, so I threw it in the gumball machine. It popped out. I watched it and I thought, this is better than I thought it was going to be. Like, that's what I'll say about it. Is like I thought it was going to be absolute dog droppings, but it's entertaining enough, and it just stinks that like they sold the movie on the sex appeal and like on the lesbian kiss with her and like Amanda Seyfried. Like that was the trailer, and it's just like there's actually a decent movie here. Like, but
yeah, I mean, they definitely went for it in that scene, right? They're like, let's just have a full-on lesbian scene for no reason in the middle of this movie.
She's irresistible, bud.
Yeah, apparently. I think that from a plot standpoint, they really do leave a lot on the table, though, and that's something that I thought was a little unfortunate. Like, they don't explain why she has these powers, how they came from, how they work. It's almost like they just hand wave all that away, and they're like, no, it's just Megan Fox, and she's hot, and she's gonna eat these boys. That's it. That's all you need to know. Like, stop asking questions. Like,
don't you see? She's wearing tight jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things in it like that. The whirlpool thing, like, what is that? Like, why do we need to have like a weird whirlpool that like
the place is like, and that's the thing is like they kind of allude to a lot of these things. Like, oh, the place is called the Devil's Kettle, and it's got this whirlpool that apparently leads all the way down into nowhere. Except she tosses a knife into it, or he does, and the knife still ends up like, by the side of the river for whatever reason. But it just feels like they could have explored that a little bit more to give it just a little bit more meat on the bone from a plot perspective.
Maybe when they were making it, they saw her star rising after like Transformers and such, and they're like, let's make this more about just her not wearing clothing or wearing tight clothing, I should say.
Yeah, like maybe if they had just thrown in like a random like crazy guy that like is obsessed with the history of the town. 5 minutes of this guy, and Amanda Seyfried meets up with him to
get some
figure out what's going on and what her weaknesses are or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be great. They would have had that. They did not have that. Basically, it's just Adam/Adrian Brody's band is like evil, and they sacrifice her to get success, right? I think that was the whole thing.
They don't say, but that's the vibe you get.
Yeah.
They don't explain that whatsoever, but like you just kind of have to put two and two together of like, okay, I guess that's what's going on.
And unfortunately, like they don't. No, I don't want to judge. We're going to go right to the end of this. It sounds like you don't have much more to say about it. Yeah, right at the end of the movie, I was waiting for like them to get their comeuppance, the band.
Yeah,
and I was waiting for them to get their comeuppance, and they do. But it's in like the end credit scene, and it's like crime scene photos, and it's so
It happens off screen. Yeah,
so unsatisfying. You're like, God, these guys suck. They deserve to get destroyed by the succubus, and they don't show it. Like if they would have had like an end of the movie massacre scene, could have really raised it up. But now there's like, here's some crime scene photos. They're like, why?
Yeah.
Did you run out of money at this point?
They must have. They must have seen the writing on the wall that this wasn't going to knock it out of the park. And we're like, what we got, they still spent $16 million on, right?
It's better than I thought it'd be, is what I'll say for that one. But
it was about just as good as I thought it'd be. I'm not mad I watched it, but I probably won't watch it again. One of the things that like I noticed throughout the whole thing too was how like absolutely offensive. So many of the things that like all the students say throughout the whole thing was, and not as bad as like, you know, you watch American Pie now and so many offensive things, but like Megan Fox's character calls someone a gaylord at some point, and I did get a good laugh out of that because I forgot that there was a period of time where people were calling people gaylords.
Oh, it was thrown out so much,
and I have to attribute that to Meet the Parents, right?
Yeah, gotta be.
Because his name is Gaylord Fokker in that. Like, that has to be it.
I can't think of another reason why it would be out there.
That has to be it.
I mean, people talk about like 6'7" being an issue. Like, we did some stuff as kids.
I thought it was funny how she was bragging about driving around a Chrysler Sebring. And so one thing that I do like about it is how of its time everything is. So there is a certain amount of nostalgia in this movie, in the music they listen to. I absolutely knew multiple people like Megan Fox's character that drove around either Chrysler Sebrings or Grand Prix or anything like that, you know. Her character and Amanda Seyfried's character, the way they like, you know, there's the hot one and the not so hot one,
right? And
they're going out to bars together and all that. I absolutely knew people like that too.
Oh, sure.
And so there's so many things here that are like small town culture, high school culture in the 2000s. I don't know if it lands as 2009. Like many of these things land as like 2004, 2005 type things, but like sure. I let that go. Because, you know, nobody else would know that unless they lived through it, right? But like there's a lot of like things like that I'm like, oh, I know somebody like that. The band guy that's like, you know, the head of an emo band that is like just taking advantage of girls at the bar. Yep, knew somebody like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know. So that part of it, I think it gets, you know, it really nails the social dynamics of that era that have to do with, you know, high school, social groups, all that.
Yeah, Amanda Seyfried playing the nerdy girl. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
sure.
One thing I thought was funny, and I guess I'll let this be my final point on it, was that like when it starts and it's like made by Fox Atomic, I was like, what the hell is Fox Atomic? And so I looked it up, and 20th Century Fox started that studio in 2006 and closed it the year this movie came out. So it's like one of the last ones, if not the last movie that it put out.
I never heard of Fox Atomic before, but
yeah, me either.
Checks out.
What is that?
Fox. Yeah, there's a reason why Fox doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, right. All right, but that's all I got for that movie. It was, you know, it is what it is, right? Okay, let's jump into the news.
The news.
Okay, so first thing I wanted to talk about was basically Ryan Coogler has been in the news a lot for the last week. For two different things. So the first one is that he was doing a lot of interviews about Sinners and all that, and was asked about his X-Files reboot, which is in fact the next thing he's going to be doing.
Heck yeah.
And his comment on it was, I was talking to a writer and she said how she sees movies as you're looking at the most important moment in a character's life. And with TV, you're looking at the most important journey of a character's life. And this hit me pretty hard. I'm a movie person and I'm learning to be a television person right now. And so he's been really hands-on with the X-Files universe. And it's really good to see him talking about it sort of passionately like that. And I really, really hope that this is good because I loved the X-Men or X-Files show.
You weren't wrong then.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did too. And it'd be exciting for that property to get some heft back behind it. Because I think they tried to do like a reboot like a few years back, right? It just didn't catch on or something.
Well, they did it twice. The first one was actually pretty good. The second one was very bad. And they try to introduce new characters, but then, so the thing that the first reboot did well is that it introduced episodes that were like more Monster of the Week things. That's what everybody loved. Yeah. And very barely dipped its toe into the lore. And everybody has always said that they liked that show when it was doing the Monsters of the Week and not doing, you know, these episode after episodes digging into the lore of the show. Yeah. Oh, the government agents that are working with the aliens and doing this and that, you know. A lot of that stuff was nonsense, and that's really what they focused on in the final seasons there. And there's a reason I don't ever go back and watch those, but I'll watch the first, 4 seasons, 5 seasons all the time. But that was largely what the second reboot was digging into Mulder and Scully's old child, and the cigarette smoking man comes back, and there's more conspiracies, and it just really kind of just like was imploding up its own ass, and I was like, this is stupid. So much of what's happening right now is literal nonsense. So I didn't like it.
Didn't the Lone Gunman from the X-Files get their own spin-off show too for like a minute?
They did.
That just popped back in my head. I'm like, I forgot that was the thing.
Yeah, they did. And if I remember correctly, they got it. I don't remember how it was, but I remember them getting exploded at the end of it.
Got canceled quite quickly, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it lasted more than a season. 2 max. But I watched it. I just don't remember much about it.
Well, speaks to the quality.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm excited about that, and I get the feeling it's going to be good because Coogler has not disappointed me yet. One of the other things that happened with him is that Christopher Nolan hosted a Sinners Oscar consideration screening a few nights ago with Ryan Coogler, and was praising both the film and Coogler's direction in it. He was quoted as saying, "The Sinners river dance scene was the most spectacular music inversion since Kubrick's Singing in the Rain from A Clockwork Orange."
Okay.
Coogler was basically like, "Stop, please stop." Like,
please stop.
Yeah.
It's good that they're giving him the momentum though, because like the award season's coming up, and I want to see that movie get its perspective deserves.
Yeah, and I really hope it does. Nolan sort of putting his backing behind him and his support doing things like this, I think is going to go a long way. Mm-hmm. For what it's worth, he was giving Coogler a lot of tips on how to handle sort of like the logistics of filming on film and with the IMAX cameras and all of that before he got into this. And after Christopher Nolan saw one of his early movies, I think Creed, I want to say, he had asked him who did the music for it, and that was Ludwig Göransson. So that's a connection that they sort of both have, is that they both have been using him for all of these things. But I'm pretty sure that's how Christopher Nolan got him on Oppenheimer is through that conversation that they've referenced. So Göransson won his Oscar for Oppenheimer, and I really hope that he wins it for this one too, because I think this is easily the best score of the year.
Well, I'm sure. Like, we're talking about nominations, I'm almost positive they'll get one for that one. I'm talking like I'm not to undersell that or undercut it. I want to see like Best Picture like buzz.
Yeah, it'll probably get some nominations in the acting category, but I don't think it's going to win any of them. But I could easily see it getting Best Picture, Best Director, Cinematographer, and Score. Maybe even Original Song, because they submitted 2, and they're both very good. You could easily throw some of those lesser-known categories like, set design and like costumes and stuff in there too, maybe.
Is this the first year they're doing the Best Cast Oscar, or is that next year?
I'm not sure.
Because I think one of these years, Best Cast Oscar comes in, and then Stunts is coming 2028, I want to say. So maybe next year is the Best Cast with that's something that both of those awards should have been in the Oscars for years, but I'm glad it's finally coming. It's the Best Cast Oscar. That just makes sense,
Yeah.
It's not always one person. Like, the whole cast needs to bring a movie together. Like, there's been so many like great. We could do an
is
episode
it cast
on that.
or is it casting?
I thought it was cast.
I think I might have heard something about them doing it for casting, as in like the casting director.
Sure, but they're going to get that award for the cast, I would think. Or am I just projecting my wants onto that?
I'm not sure.
I could be.
We'll have to look into that.
What I like to do.
We'll have an answer on that by the time we talk about those things.
Yeah.
Come Oscar time. But yeah, excited about that. Next piece of news. Heat 2 is officially in development. Leonardo DiCaprio is confirmed for the cast. And Michael Mann has confirmed that he has turned in his final script for it. So we got one cast member, we got a script, and as long as that gets greenlit, I think we're off to the races with a sequel to Heat.
Which,
have you heard much about this?
No, but I did hear that news, and like, especially like modern day, so much stuff that's like fake that gets put out there, like lies and AI stuff, and like this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. But like when Holly told me that news, I'm like, not real. And no, it actually apparently is real. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
It is real. So it's based on a 2022 novel that Michael Mann himself wrote that served as both a prequel and a sequel to the original movie. And it tells the story of sort of like a younger Neil McCauley and his crew pulling off daring heists and, living the high life earlier on. And then it tells another story that is the sequel of what happens to Val Kilmer's character after he gets away. Mm-hmm. And basically, I think it's, from what I've read, it has a lot to do with him trying to reunite with his former girlfriend, but also Al Pacino's character is still continuing to hunt him. One part of the book is set in a lawless South American drug zone, and there's an overarching bad guy who's more brutal than anybody that's in the first movie, including Otis Wardell.
Okay.
My prediction is that is who Leonardo DiCaprio is going to play.
Well, that checks.
The other people that are in contention for roles right now that have been brought up is Christian Bale, Adam Driver, and Austin Butler. So Austin Butler's got Val Kilmer's character written all over him, right?
He does, yeah. 100%.
Adam Driver, I think there's been rumors that he will be playing the young Neil McCauley, so the young Robert De Niro's character.
I can see it.
And if all of this is on track, then Christian Bale would be Al Pacino's character, right?
Right.
He kind of looks like him. He's got long hair like his character has. Not like long, but like, shoulder length, longer 90s hair. And so if we've got Christian Bale hunting Austin Butler across the world and then coming across this super evil dude that maybe brings Austin Butler aboard to work for him, and Austin Butler turns out like, oh, this guy's more evil than anybody I've ever met. And maybe he works with Christian Bale's character. I don't know. I've not read the book. I'm just
I want to read the book now.
Throwing things, but like I had asked a couple people, like I was like, does that cast track? And they're like 100% that cast tracks. But if they said, they're like, if Leonardo DiCaprio plays the villain of the Heat 2 book, it'll be the most evil character he's ever played.
He played Kevin Kennedy.
Yeah, but he plays that with charm. Apparently, this dude's not charming at all. Okay.
All right.
I'm excited about it.
Much so. That's awesome news.
Next piece of news. This is, as of yesterday, 28 years later, the Bone Temple early screening happened, and reviews have been pouring out. So I saw that it's under review embargo, but just nobody seems to care. I don't know why. But they're all saying that they love the movie. They're saying it completely rocks.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they say that it is the Jack O'Connell, Ralph Fiennes show.
Awesome. What we wanted.
Jack O'Connell gets the most screen time. Second is Ralph Fiennes. So
you hope so. After the way the last one ended with Jimmy slipping on screen, you're like, okay, what the hell? So
yeah,
they got to explain that up a little bit, but that's awesome news.
They say that Jack O'Connell is really, really good in it. That's what pretty much universally everyone's been saying.
His star's on the rise.
Our last piece of news here. So, as we know, Mike Flanagan is making a new Exorcist movie. And for a little while, it seemed like he might not actually make it. But it was recently announced that he has cast his star in it. And it is none other than Scarlett Johansson.
Really? I'd not heard this one.
Yeah.
I heard she was in the running for a Batman 2 role. I didn't know she got the Exorcist cast.
And she's about to be in the Batman 2 in talks. This one is like officially cast though.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Apparently the Exorcist Believer movie is a big pile of garbage. So
that's what I've heard.
I want to see that franchise do better.
You haven't seen it?
No, I heard it's real bad and just had no desire.
Yeah, it's basically where I'm at with it too. And I'll probably continue to not watch it. So
I think my parents were watching it one night and I was over at their house and I might have seen like 15 minutes of it, but it doesn't.
Your body in the blood. Stupid. Anyways, though, I'm excited about this. Mike Flanagan knows how to make some horror, and he really, really a great director. But I think this is exactly what he needs to get sort of like that mainstream appeal that he's just not seemed to nailed so far, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because, like, you talk Dr. Sleep, you talk The Life of Chuck. None of those have knocked it out of the park. Both of them have really been box office disappointments.
Yeah. But they're good movies.
They're both very good. So I think casting her in this and him taking over sort of like a franchise like this, I think it's exactly what he needs to sort of finally get that mainstream appeal and get that box office hurdle that he's been avoiding for.
Because he's got the Carrie remake coming too, right?
Yeah, but that is a TV series.
Oh, okay.
On Amazon Prime.
Okay, I didn't know that was a series. Gerald's Game, that's the other one I was going to bring up. Couldn't think of it.
Gerald's Game was straight to Netflix.
And it's good, but like you said, not mainstream outside of like horror watchers. People don't know about that movie that much.
Right, and Hush was like, you know, low budget. Oculus, low budget. Before I Wake, I don't even remember much about that movie. Ouija Origin of Evil, I don't know if that even got a theatrical release. If it did, it was, you know, it's a prequel to sort of like a semi-successful horror movie.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Apparently
these aren't things that people talk about a lot.
No.
But then you look at, he's done a ton of these Netflix shows and all that, but they're all Netflix shows.
Right.
So that's not really adding to his, you know, sort of repertoire from profile. Yeah. So I hope that this really, you know, gets his star on the rise a bit more. Because, I mean, he's huge in the horror community, right? But like, we want to get people like my mom there.
Exactly, yeah. And, like, he's a talented director. He's got an eye for it. So it's a iconic franchise. So hopefully he can give us another good movie in it.
Yeah. Speaking of the Carrie series, he cast Matthew Lillard in that.
That'll make Tarantino very angry.
Yeah. Man, what a bunch of nonsense that was.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, that was ridiculous. I'm 100% with you on like your points you made. Just come on, Quentin. You don't have to do this.
Yeah, well, and like and even thinking of it from like the Paul Dano perspective, like I know you're not a fan of Paul Dano, right?
I'm not,
but like
that's okay.
Yeah, but like that's okay for somebody in like the position that like Quentin Tarantino's in. Mm-hmm. Like, you really got to have some tact when it comes to these things. Like, keep in mind that people really put your opinion on a pedestal. Right. And so to come at, I mean, Paul Dano, for one, he can take it, right? But, like, coming for Owen Wilson and Matthew Lillard like that, like, what he said about Owen Wilson was weird because, like, it kind of came across in the end as a compliment. Did you hear what he said?
No, I heard the Matthew Lillard stuff. I didn't really hear the Owen Wilson stuff too much, but
yeah, well, on Matthew Lillard, he didn't go into a lot of detail. He was basically just like, "Oh, he's another one that I don't like. I don't like any of his stuff." But then with Owen Wilson, he was like, "Oh, Owen Wilson, I don't like any of his stuff." When I watched Midnight in Paris the first time, I liked the whole movie, but I didn't like him. And the second time, I couldn't get over how much I didn't like his part in it. And he's like, but then by the third time I watched it, I couldn't take my eyes off of Owen Wilson and what his character was doing with it. And it's just like, is that a compliment? Like,
is that a backhanded compliment? Like,
yeah. And so I guess it kind of worked out in the end for him, but I don't know. But like, yeah, to come at Matthew Lillard like that is just kind of like, hey, come on.
I kind of like his response where he basically just says like he doesn't go after the big name guys, he goes after guys like me or something like that, and I like that response. Like that should humble him a little bit to like think like you got to think before you speak there, dude.
Yeah, like you really
you're quirky or whatever, and people kind of like you for that, but you're also, as you said, a name in Hollywood. You are a what's the word here? Known person that people like, as you said, you say something like this, people are like, oh, I'm not going to watch a movie with him in it. And like, that's going to hurt these people's careers for no reason other than you wanted to throw shade for fun.
Right. And luckily everybody has come out in support of Paul Dano and Matthew Lillard, everybody that's worked with them. So that's been nice to see. I know James Gunn and Mike Flanagan both came out and were like, oh, Matthew Lillard's brilliant. He's, one of my favorite actors to work with. And he's actually going to be in the next season of Daredevil as well.
Perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah. One of the funny things too is like when I was listening to that interview with him, I could not get that old SNL sketch of Norm Macdonald and him doing the Quentin Tarantino impression, I cannot listen to Quentin Tarantino without hearing that. He's like, okay, like, all right. Because he does that. He 100% does that. Like, okay, all right.
Norman Down, dude. Rest in peace. What a great little man he was in history.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into the Physical Media Showcase.
Yes, sir.
You want to kick us off?
Yeah. So, for the Physical Media Showcase, I wanted to show off the Shudder 10th Anniversary Collector's Edition here. A good friend of mine sent this to me. Apparently, he got a duplicate of it because there's a mistake in here where instead of having Late Night with the Devil, it's The Rule of Jenny Penn, which I don't mind. I already have Late Night with the Devil, so yeah, it was a surprise, and I was very happy to get it. I'll just say thank you to my good friend for sending it to me.
You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Yeah,
that worked out. It was weird because when I talked to Amazon, they were basically like, yeah, we don't know what's going on with this. So I looked it up on Reddit, and it's like a widespread issue. And so I think that's just an issue with this entire batch that has gone out. And I guess people are saying that Shudder's going to do a new release of it. But if you look at like the Amazon listing for it, there's a ton of pictures of the Rule of Jenny Penn disc.
Hey, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen Late Night with the Devil a bunch of times, but I thought it was funny because I have been trying to get. So I ordered that VHS copy of Late Night with the Devil. It has been 14 months and it has still not arrived. And then I bought that Shudder set. And it doesn't have it in it. And then I got a new one of that Shudder set. Still doesn't have it in it. So that's three times I've tried to get Late Night with the Devil on physical media, and I have failed miserably.
Well, look at what happened to me. My steel case came bent as a U. So yeah. I didn't have good luck with that either.
Yeah. Weird thing. Hey, now you got Skinamarink.
Yeah, good. Can't wait to watch that.
All right. So for mine, this just came in today, and it is The Keep.
Oh, what's that?
From Michael Mann. So this is a movie from 1983. So here we got like a little That's Keep fun. Slip cover here. That's pretty cool.
That is. Boom. What the hell is this movie?
So this movie came out in 1983. So if you can find a way to watch it, it's got a little book on the inside too here. If you can find a way to watch it, then it is, something you'll probably want to watch for our 1983 episode. So I'm going to do that maybe tonight.
Okay.
But it's an early film of Michael Mann's, and it is about like a mountainside that Nazis like open up this cavern in to perform some rituals, and evil stuff happens. So it's like his like first and only horror movie, I believe. And it has a storied sort of production where he filmed like a 3.5 hour version or something of this, and the studio made him chop it all up. And people have largely said that the movie we have now is not that great because of all of that, but it's worth owning sort of in its historical context type of thing. It's another one of those where like everybody's sort of trying to fill in a lot of the gaps, and I think there might be a book to go along with it too that's filling in a lot of the gaps of like, okay, what was this really supposed to be in the end? But as it stands, it's a bit of a mess. But it's a really cool idea because it's one of the few World War II horrors out there.
Not many. We got Overlord. It pops in my head immediately.
Yeah, but it's got a really cool case too.
That is a cool case. Can't lie about that.
It's got Scott Glenn in it. It's got Jürgen Prochnow.
Go to a doctor for that.
You'd know that dude if it's got Ian McKellen in it.
Oh, really?
But it's from 1983, so you probably won't recognize him. Actually, you will recognize him. I see him on the back of this, and he still looks old.
Yeah, he was 97.
There's like some actors you see, and you're just like, you always looked old, didn't you?
Yeah, like George from Cheers. Like I guess when Cheers first started filming, that guy was like 34 years old. That's an exaggeration, but he wasn't the age you think he is.
Right. But yeah. So I'm excited to see this. It's from Vinegar Syndrome. They sell a lot of stuff like this. They sell a lot of like low budget, unknown horror movies too, and cool things, a lot of cool sets. So this is one that has been sold out everywhere for a while, and this was a new edition of it. They got like these different pre-orders up randomly, and I was like, you know what? I like the packaging on this one a little bit more, so I went with this one. I love the packaging, but it wasn't supposed to arrive today, and so when I opened the box, I was pretty pumped because I didn't know what it was going to be.
Okay, you got it. So was that a happy accident that it's a 1983 movie, or was that planned?
That was a happy accident. When I was looking through the 1983 movies, I was like, oh, there it is. Hopefully this arrives in time. And it did. Yeah.
I was looking at the 1983 movies, and there was like 2 or 3 on that list. I'm like, oh, I like that movie, but it's kind of meh. And then like, it's like released December 1982. I'm like, well, can't do that.
Yeah.
As I go off U.S. releases. That's what I did for Sisu, and 28 days later, I'd be a liar if I didn't follow that rule.
What movies are you talking about? They might be on my list.
Oh, I can't remember from the top of my head. I'll have to look back at the list.
Okay. There's a bunch on that list that I'm like, oh man, I haven't seen so many of these.
Yeah, there's a Scorsese movie in there, isn't there? There's a King of Comedy. That's a good one.
Oh, that is in there, yeah, I think. Blue Thunder. I'm excited to watch that again. I haven't seen that since I was a kid.
Yeah, me too. That was one I was kind of hoping you would sneak through without you paying attention to. But that's one I enjoyed quite a bit as a kid. Spoilers. Maybe my list. We'll find out.
Jaws 3D.
That's not going to be on my list.
No? Curtains. I might finally watch Curtains.
Really? Curtains was 83? Cool.
Yeah. Grizzly 2 Revenge is on there.
I mean, it got released last year.
Yeah, but it was made in 1983.
It's not going to be on my list, although I do enjoy that movie.
We could take a moment and talk about it during the episode, though. One I'm excited to rewatch is Uncommon Valor. Have you seen that?
Yeah, long time. I'd have to rewatch that.
I am downright pumped to rewatch that because I was a big fan of that movie as a kid.
There's a Dirty Harry movie that year, isn't there?
Sudden Impact.
Yeah.
I own all the Dirty Harry movies on DVD, so yeah, I'm excited for that one. I haven't seen it in a while. The Right Stuff. I've never watched The Right Stuff, so that'll be fun.
Because it's like a long one, isn't it? Or one of the movies is like a big movie for that year was like 3 hours. And it always put me on.
Scarface is that year.
Scarface is that year. Toxic Masculinity, the movie.
All right, do you have anything else?
No, my friend, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you for catching another episode of the Bark Knight Podcast. Join us next week for Volume 1 of our Sci-Fi Classics series with 2001: A Space Odyssey and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Follow, subscribe, and leave a rating to help us keep the reels turning. We're also currently taking requests for collaborators for our blog. You can DM us on Instagram threads or through our website at barknightmedia.com/contact, which is also where you can sign up for our newsletter. Until next time, keep celebrating great stories on and off the screen.